There's an invisible formula that every viral video follows. And I don't mean thumbnails. I don't mean posting times. I mean the actual structure words coming out of someone's mouth. I wanted to understand why certain creators can say almost the same thing as everyone else, but their version gets 10 times the views. So I started pulling apart viral scripts, dozens of them, across every niche. And what I found completely changes how you should think about writing content. But here's the thing that really got the best storytelling principles aren't new. Some of them have been proven for over 100 years. They just different on a screen than they did on a page. So let me walk you through 6 of them. Every great story, whether it's a feature film or a 60-second TikTok, is a dance between 2 things, context and conflict. You give a little context, the character's on a mission, things are moving. And then conflict. Something goes wrong, a twist, a complication. Then more context. The character adapts. And then another conflict. This dance is what keeps people locked in. Conflicts create open loops in the brain. Context closes them. But before the loop fully closes, you open another one. Now here's where it gets tactical. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the guys behind South Park, they figured out something brilliant. If the word "then" connects the beats of your story, it's boring. You're just piling on detail after detail. But if the words "but" and "therefore" connect your beats, now you've got momentum. This happens, therefore this happens. But then this happens, therefore that changes everything. It's that simple. And here's proof it works. I looked at some of the highest performing short-form videos out there, and the best ones had 3 to 4 but-then conflict loops in the first 30 seconds alone. That's not an accident. And this connects to something that the best advertisers figured out a century ago. You don't sell by piling on facts. You sell by creating tension and then resolving it. Every great ad, every great video is a series promises made and kept. The dance is how you deliver on that. This one is subtle, but it's massive. There's a natural pacing and rhythm that is soothing to the brain. You can feel it when someone's good at it. Their delivery has this ebb and flow that just works. Here's the best way I've ever seen this explained. It comes from an author named Gary Provost. Listen to this. This sentence has 5 words. Here are 5 more words. 5-word sentences are fine, but several together become monotonous. Listen to what is happening. This writing is getting boring. The sound of it drones. It's like a stuck record. The ear demands some, now listen. I vary the sentence length and I create music. Music. The writing sings. It has a pleasant rhythm, a lilt, a harmony. You see that? When every sentence is the same length, your brain checks out. It's predictable. But when you mix shortches with longer flowing sentences, you create this rhythm that keeps people listening. Here's the practical move. Next time you write a script, look at your document. If every line ends at roughly the same point, you don't have enough variety. You want that jagged edge. That's the visual signature of rhythm. The most successful creators in every discipline have one thing in common. It feels like they're in the room with you, not performing, not lecturing, just talking. This is tone, and it's the difference between someone you trust and someone you tune out. Think about it this way. The best salespeople, the ones who actually close, they don't sound like salespeople. They sound like advisors. They sound like friends who happen to know something useful. The moment someone feels like they're being talked at instead of talked with, a wall goes up. Here's the tactical move. Write and film your content as if you're talking to one specific friend, not an audience, one person. If you have to, put a picture of them near your camera lens. Over time, this conversational tone becomes natural, but it starts with that intention. This might seem counterintuitive, but the best place to start writing your script is the last line. Figure out where you want to take the viewer. What's the final thought you want to leave them with? What's the thing that, if that's all someone heard, they'd share it with a friend? Then work backwards. Think about Christopher Nolan, Tenet, Inception, Interstellar. These are wildly complicated, but he had to know the ending before he could build the tension in the middle. Same principle applies to a 10-minute YouTube video or a 60-second reel. I write my first line and my last line. Then I create space between and fill it in. That's how you build direction into your content. You're not wandering, you're guiding. And here's a principle that makes this even more powerful. Every piece of content should have one clear destination, one action, one idea. When you try to take the viewer to 3 different places, they end up nowhere. The best content, the stuff that actually converts attention into action, is built around a single, clear purpose. Know your ending. Everything else serves it. Finding a cool topic is not enough. Unless you're in a tiny niche, dozens of other people are talking about the same thing. So how do you stand out? A story lens is your unique angle on a topic. Imagine a beam of light. Everyone sees the same white beam. But put a prism in front of it, and suddenly you get something different. That prism is your story lens, your fingerprint. When Taylor Swift went to the Super Bowl, the obvious angles were what she was wearing when she arrived, her reactions. Hundreds of creators covered those exact stories. But the business impact she was driving on the NFL, that's a different lens. That's how you become a category of one. Here's the principle underneath this. Don't compete on the same angle. Compete on a different angle. The best content doesn't fight for attention on crowded ground. It finds open ground and owns it. I saved this for last because everyone talks about hooks first. And yes, if people leave on the hook, nothing else matters. So here are 2 rules that actually move the needle. Rule 1. Your first line should be as punchy and as specific to the plot as possible. If your video is about garden techniques, the hook should be some version of "these garden techniques changed" or "this one technique tripled my harvest." Not "wait till you see this." Not "you're never going to believe this." Those are empty. They don't confirm the click. Rule 2, and this one is powerful. Visual hooks are 10 times more effective than audio-only hooks. When you're talking, but the only thing on screen is your face and some captions, you're relying entirely on the ears. But people's eyes process faster than their ears. So you want to show what you're talking about in the first second. Think about it. Before you hear a single word, if you see a striking confirms the topic, you're already oriented. You already know if this video is for you. That's the power of the visual hook. Show while you tell. So now you've got 6 techniques. The dance, rhythm, tone, direction, story lenses, hooks, and they're powerful on their own. But here's where it gets really interesting, because knowing these principles and actually applying them every time you sit down to write, those are 2 very different things. So let me show you what I actually do. And this is the part that saves me hours. Everything I just walked you through, the /therefore framework, the rhythm principles, the conversational tone rules, the hook structure, I take all of that and I turn it into a prompt, a set. Basically a cheat sheet that says, here's how I want my scripts written, here's the storytelling structure I want, here's my voice, here's the rhythm I'm going for. And then I save that prompt as a document inside Viral Canvas AI. It becomes part of my knowledge base. So now every time I start a new project, the AI already knows my storytelling framework. It already knows my voice. It already knows the principles I want baked into every script. But here's where it gets powerful. That's just the foundation. Now I can layer on top of it. So let's say I find a video in my niche that's absolutely crushing it. Millions of views. Clearly the topic is resonating right now. I paste that video into Viral Canvas. It transcribes the whole thing. And now I've got the full script to work with. But I don't just copy it. That's what most people do. And that's why most people's content feels like a watered-down version of someone else's. Instead, I connect that viral transcript to my storytelling prompt. And I add something else. Maybe a book I've been reading that has deeper insights on the same topic. Maybe it's research. Maybe it's a framework from an expert that nobody in my niche is talking about. Upload that too. Now I tell the AI, rewrite this viral video in my voice and style using my storytelling framework and incorporate the deeper insights from this book. And what comes out the other side isn't a copy. It's something better. It's the same proven topic that's already working on YouTube, so you know the audience wants it. It's got your unique voice, your story lens, and it's got added value from sources your competitors never even thought to include. So you're not competing with the same angle and the same information. You're taking what's already proven to work and elevating it. You're adding depth that makes the viewer feel like they got something they couldn't get anywhere else. And the beautiful part, that storytelling prompt I saved, it's permanent. I use it every single time. So every script that comes out already has the dance built in, already has rhythm variation, already has the hook structure, already has my tone. The AI does the heavy lifting. I do the thinking. I decide which viral topics to rewrite. I decide which books or insights to layer in. I decide the angle. But the actual assembly, the structuring, the rhythm, the voice matching, that's handled. What used to take me an entire afternoon now takes maybe 20 minutes. And honestly, the output is more consistent than when I was doing it all manually. Because the system doesn't forget the principles. I do. The system applies them every time. That's the real unlock here. It's not just knowing these 6 techniques. It's building them into a system that works for you every time you create. And then stacking outside knowledge on top so your content isn't just as good as what's already viral, it's better. Here's what I want to leave you with. You don't need better equipment. You don't need to post more often. You need to tell better stories. And now you have 6 specific, proven ways to do that. The dance between context and conflict, the rhythm of varied sentences, the tone of a real conversation, the direction of knowing your ending first, the story lens that makes your angle unique, and the hook that shows while it tells. These principles have worked for 100 years. They work today, and they'll work tomorrow. Because human nature doesn't change. The platforms change, the formats change. But the way a good story grabs someone by the chest and won't let go, that's permanent. You deserve to know this stuff. Now go use it.